All right. Welcome back to the show. And I'm excited. I have a repeat guest, and I should have done my homework before I clicked record and found out what episode. But back with Dr. Keith True. For those that haven't heard his first episode, I'd highly, highly recommend it. But Dr. True, veterinarian, recent MBA graduate or holder. I'm not sure exactly what term I want to use there. But, anyways, has his MBA, definitely an entrepreneurial, and finished some time recently with some partner hospitals, member of the Board of AccessVet, founder of TrueVet Potential and TrueVet, which is coming out of that. And certainly want to get into all kinds of different things. But Keith, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, it's great to be back again and able to connect with you, Isaiah. It's always been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, it's been fun. I feel like we've known each other for a long time, but it's really only not even 12 months. But
Yeah.
it's had lots of good conversations together. I just want to lay the groundwork. Kind of what are updates? How's life? And then I have a handful of different questions, but I know we're going to go in a lot of different directions. But I guess provide some updates and anything that you want to kind of set the table with today.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background on what I've been up to. I just finished up with my two of my partnered hospitals. I handed the reins over to some more junior partners for them to be able to take the lead and really grow their own careers. Sold those shares, or in the process of selling those shares, and on to the next venture. And that's always been my passion is instill the next generation with the tools that they need to succeed. And in order for myself to continue to grow, I have to be able to follow my own path, and that's where I'm at right now. And my contract's just ended about a week ago. It's been really nice to just be at home with my family and enjoy the last week just being a dad and getting stuff done around the house. And I same day my contract ended, I did finish my MBA and walked in graduation down in Champaign Urbana at the University of Illinois, which I'll represent here proudly today. And
Absolutely.
yeah, now we're here and connecting and talking about the next steps.
Yeah, one of the things that you had written, it was really cool, and I love this. And if you want to expand on it, or if it's, hey, that's succinct, that's perfect, we'll just leave it at that. But you talked about like my true calling lies in nurturing cohesive teams, building successful enterprises, and innovating within our field. The field obviously being vet med, but that speaks to kind of what you just talked about with the partner hospitals of, you brought people in that are junior, but have had a lot of experience for maybe the amount of years that they've been in vet med and can really shine and you kind of let them go to go, grow their own career and they don't, need you anymore. And it's similar to like a coaching tree, right? Where you have these, real famous coaches, whether it's NBA or NFL, and they have, or even in college football, like Nick Saban at Alabama is a really famous coach. Lots of great coaches have come from working with him. And I always look at that with leadership within any sort of industry. And it's cool to see that from your perspective. But anything that you want to add there? Any thoughts on kind of the idea of nurturing teams, building successful enterprises, or innovating?
Yeah, I think you hit it spot on, with your take from what I wrote on LinkedIn the other day. And I, I would be doing a disservice if I didn't, it's not like I created that plan and that path. It's something that was passed down to me from my mentors and me being able to learn from them and being able to get those opportunities early in my career and almost look at it as paying it forward. But it's beneficial on multiple levels, not just for those young veterinarians who are getting an opportunity to be leaders in their hospital. And by young veterinarians, I mean for 3-4 years out of practice where they're getting the reins. I got that opportunity 2 years out of school, and I ran with it, and it was a lot of learning on the go and learning on the fly. But I'd like to think I did a pretty successful job, and based off of the letters I got from my partners as I departed, I think I did, and I told both of them the letters that they wrote, those letters and what they have written to me as a mentor, those are invaluable and the most important notes I received in departing my two hospitals. And I'm really happy that I've been able to give them that opportunity, just like I was given that opportunity. And I hope they continue to do that as well. Um, as in regards to being good for them and good for me, I think one thing that we fail a lot of veterinarians fail to realize early in their careers is just developing a succession plan. You know, I'm I've kind of come to accept of who I am, and me just being complacent at one individual location for me is not what I want to do forever. I need to constantly be building and getting these new challenges. And when we talk about creating succession plans, I've always entered every job that I've taken to train the next person to take that over. I don't want anything being 100% reliant on me, because not only does that hamper the growth of those individuals that you oversee, but it hampers your own individual growth as well, depending on what your goals are. Some people love being in one hospital for 40, 50 years, but unfortunately or fortunately, I that's just not who I am. I want to take that next step, and by being able to employ that coaching tree that you just discussed, I think it allows me, and I don't think, I know it allows me to be able to do what I'm working on now. And couldn't be more excited to be doing it.
Yeah, recent episode. I think friend of yours and definitely friend of the podcast, Dr. Cody Kuhlman was on and had a really interesting conversation with him, and had a lot of feedback from it. But one of the things he talks about was, there's this leadership crisis in veterinary medicine, and it kind of um, flows with a lot of what you said and what you wrote, where you said true leadership, I believe, involves preparing others to excel in your stead, which basically is, it's not about me. It's about like, how do you make this, as at least in my opinion, as resilient and robust as possible, where it's not like, the buck stops here and like, I'm what makes this place run. And I think some people, they relish that feeling of all this responsibility and stuff, but like, you do really want to make yourself replaceable in a way, which seems counterintuitive, but it's like, there's always been a statement. It's like, you can have a job or you can own a business. And if you can't step away, you just have a job, right? If you're the only one that can do it, you have a job. You don't own the business, even if you have 100% equity or whatever, a portion of equity. So do you feel like, when you zoom out, and let's take a 30,000 foot view of veterinary medicine, do you agree with Cody that there's the leadership crisis? And he kind of highlighted that there are really good leaders, but they've left, and there just hasn't been that next generation to fill the shoes, because maybe they didn't, pass it on, similar to the way that you got that. And, maybe there's failures in a lot of different ways, but do you think there's a leadership crisis? And then B, is it just as simple as trying to do kind of a mentorship, like a real mentorship program that you've been through, or are there other things that need to happen?
Me and Cody have talked quite a few times, and we do share a very similar view. And being close in age, I think we can relate a lot, especially the past that we've had in both being partners of smaller groups that have then become larger, and being able to then venture out on our own. I think he and I have been able to relate to each other quite a bit in regards to that. And I mean, I am definitely going to echo that sentiment that there is I would go out to venture and say, an extreme leadership crisis when it comes to veterinary medicine. And I think that's why we see veterinary medicine where it is today in regards to the scope of the business landscape. And, you know, I, I think there are born leaders. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. But the vast majority of people are not what I would consider, what anyone would consider, born leaders. People are born with that inherent ability and that inherent want to lead. But the number of people who enter the veterinary field, I think, are a minority when it comes to that. Now, I think the biggest thing that we need to instill in young veterinarians is that leadership, for most people, is a learned skill. And I don't think we spend enough time talking to veterinary students, young veterinarians, about the importance of that leadership. Not only when it comes to, and I'm not talking from a 30,000 foot view. Like we said, I'm not talking about being a leader of an entire business or an entire corporation or whatever. You can be a leader and get those leadership skills in a hospital setting, whether you have 3 employees, whether you have 50 employees. The veterinarian is the head of the team that's working on the floor, and being able to develop those leadership skills from as a student, and move forward and excel in those skills, is of the utmost importance, even on a small scale. Now, when we're talking about the bigger scale, look at who are the leaders of veterinary medicine right now. We have a large corporate groups that are now there, and the vast majority of them are not led by veterinarians, which is a topic that we've talked about quite a bit. And me and a few other veterinarians have addressed that and are working on some other projects outside of what I'm just doing to be able to get veterinarians interested in leadership, ownership, management, all of that. And I think if we get enough veterinarians interested in that and open people's eyes to what a veterinarian, leading veterinarians can mean for a profession in the long run, I absolutely think that that's key to the progression of veterinary medicine into the future. And not only for we can talk about all the mental health issues and burnout issues and all of that. I think if we look down to the root cause of that, I think that comes down to a lack of the next generation of leaders. And I think if we work on focusing on that, I think we can see a lot of what the problems that we talk about in veterinary medicine. I think we can start to actually put actionable items out there to help fix those problems that we like to focus on as the overreaching problem.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next was, I think a lot of times on teams, there's plenty of people that can identify this is an issue, this doesn't work well. Hey, Dr. True, this isn't working, you need to fix it. But there's a lot less folks on the team that can say, okay, this is an issue and this is the solution to it. And so I agree that a lot of times within veterinary medicine, I've always said I'm spoiled that I've gotten, this kind of unique way of like finding my way to vet med without being a DVM. But there absolutely is a lot of highlighting of issues and less people working on this is the solution too. And with a leadership crisis or like this next generation of leaders not being there, it's not, I want to ask you this, it's hard to place the blame on it's this or that, isn't it? It's got to be a combination or, fundamentally, is it people not being given the chance or not enough people standing up and saying, I want that?
I think there's so many different angles that you can approach it. I wouldn't sit here and say we can put the blame on one thing. It's in reality it's a profession issue. I think whether it's the type of students we're admitting into veterinary schools, whether it's the lack of actual leadership training and leadership awareness in the university setting, whether it's having that chief who doesn't want to delegate to the next generation of veterinarians. I think the the lack of leadership or the lack of continued leadership development, there's so many different tiers that can be affected, and each person might not be affected by the same aspects. I think that we have to come at it from a multifaceted view in order to be able to actually narrow down the cause. So I wouldn't say we can put the blame on one particular area. There's a lot of different areas that we need to work on. Where does it start? I just think it's awareness. Being aware that I, as a young veterinarian, need to have some awareness of what leadership is and realize that regardless of whether I'm leading a group of 2 technicians or leading a group of 100 hospitals, I think the inherent message needs to be the same in that we as veterinarians, we're not just medical professionals. We are in charge of being leaders of so many different areas of the field, and being able to teach that to the younger generation. Like I said, it is a learned skill for most people, and even those that have that inherent can always benefit from additional learning on that too. So I think that's the most important thing to focus on.
What does success look like from a leadership perspective as we move forward? Like, do you have, if you could have a dream list or a dream, breakdown of like, this is what it would look like, thoughts on that?
Yeah, the the dream, and I know if you and I have talked about this, and not on the podcast, but it's like what does, and we talk about legacies that we want to leave in our profession, and whether that's on the site level, whether that's in the lab, whether that's with a rescue, whether that's on the profession as a whole. I think that looks different for everybody, but for me, what I want to be remembered as a veterinary professional is somebody who took a stand for the profession and instilled the just a new way of thinking and actionable items to correct a lot of the problems that we focus on and talk about, being veterinary professionals. So, what does a successful leadership plan look like? I think it really just comes to veterinarians realizing what leadership is. I want to see veterinarians leading veterinarians. I want to see veterinarians leading corporations. I want to see veterinarians leading teams effectively and doing it with a with a purpose, with a passion, and seeing that come to fruition. Is it measurable? I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can say, yeah, there's CEOs, veterinarian CEOs of X number of companies now, or percentage of uh, individual practices that are owned by veterinarians has gone up. But what is success in that? I don't know. I think it just comes down to the message that I'm talking with you about making its way out. And 40, 50 years from now, if my name comes up, and even with 10 people, it says, what, that message really struck a chord with me and really changed how I approached my career and made my career better for me and for my patients or for my team. To me, that's success. I don't need it to be measurable.
Sure. I mean, today, when you look at the landscape of the various different conferences, again, I don't typically go for CE since I'm not, holding a license anywhere. Is there anything that's dedicated, like, hey, this leadership track, or like trying to help encourage or grow veterinarians to take more of that? I don't want to say burden, but that responsibility, because I think responsibility is what people want. I think if you have a little bit more responsibility, going back to the mental health thing, right, it actually will benefit them. I don't see it, but maybe I'm also not looking. So I just wanted to see, like, do you feel like that's something where that would be part of this, or does it need to be completely outside of that?
I mean, there's definitely, whenever you go to conferences, there are practice management talks, there are leadership talks, there's plenty of that. Now, the attendance on things like that versus actual medical talks or along those lines, I would say the attendance is much lower in those than the medical talks. At the heart, at the center of it, we're veterinarians. We're scientists, we're healers, we're surgeons, we're internal medicine people. It's that's the central part of what we do. But if we could at least, I mean, even incorporating leadership aspects into the medical causes of that too, I think is I'm not going to sit here and say I have the exact message that we can put in all of these things, but even just stressing it and the importance of that, to go to talks like that, I think is a good thing for our profession. CE, is that the place where we get it? Yeah, I think that's what interests me the most at this point in time. So I go to those very frequently and seek those out. I've gone to specific courses or conferences that are devoted to that in multiple instances, but I realize I'm in the minority on that. That's not a majority thing, but and I don't think it is realistic for veterinarians to commit most of their time to learning that. But even just a small percentage of your CE and the time you spend, developing yourself and reinvesting in yourself, I think getting some of that leadership training is crucial to your own success and the success of the profession in general.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially, I mean, if we go back to the thoughts of like there's a lacking there, and how do you find it if you feel like I want it, but it's just not in my practice or in my hospital group that I'm getting. I mean, you have to seek it out in some form or fashion. So, yeah, appreciate those thoughts. Let's talk about true vet potential and TrueVet. Same thing, different thing, and kind of parsing those two, because I think for some they
Yeah,
might hear them and think they're the same.
yeah, and the basis is the same, but the end goal is different. So Let me talk about TrueVet potential first. And I think, realistically, what we've talked about is a lot of what TrueVet potential is. And, I started that a year ago, pretty much right before we met. Really, there's three arms to TrueVet potential, focusing on the student, focusing on the young veterinarian or early career veterinarian, and then focusing on the new practice owner or soon to be practice owner. And that trio of empower, evolve, and emerge in the growth of leadership across your career is just the importance of that. And I obviously I'm very interested in the business side of veterinary medicine, and in the one of the central values of TrueVet potential is being able to empower young veterinarians to get into ownership, get into positions of leadership, and really be able to dictate their career in the way that they want to, and what's going to benefit them, their teams, their families, the profession as a whole. And that's originally when I started TrueVet potential. I envisioned that becoming my company and what I did. And um, it's it when the more I thought about it, and just getting a message out, and and almost consulting people to utilize these teachings, or provide classes and continuing education to get people to learn this, I realized, like, am I really making a difference in a profession just by putting ideas out there? And and when I thought about it more and more, I think the answer was no. I'm like, I think I need to take this to the next step and actually provide not just ideas, but actionable items that are going to be able to take, what I preach with TrueVet potential, and put it into an actual setting. And that's where TrueVet comes in. And what TrueVet is a platform where I can take what we've developed within TrueVet potential and actually put it into practice. I preach business ownership. I preach leadership. I preach early entry into those as a veterinarian. And that's what TrueVet is. TrueVet is, well, just launching, obviously, but is going to be a group of hospitals looking for partner veterinarians who have the teachings of TrueVet potential, and what we're talking about here strikes a chord with them. And we're going to be able to help those veterinarians get into positions of ownership, get be able to get equity early in their careers, while removing the fears of the lack of business acumen, the fears of taking on additional debt. um, Name the laundry list of things that prevents a lot of veterinarians from taking that next step in business ownership or leadership. And we want to lessen those barriers and be able to partner with these veterinarians to create co-owned hospitals that allow them to succeed, allow them to dictate how their career progresses, and be able to empower them while also coaching them on how to create it successful. There's going to be a lot more that comes to that. That's kind of the brief elevator pitch of what we want to do. But in essence, the summary of what is TrueVet potential, or what is TrueVet. TrueVet is a group of hospitals focused on empowering early career veterinarians to get into positions of ownership, where we're going to be partners, we're going to make it succeed, and we're going to do it in a way that benefits not only the veterinarian, the veterinary teams, the clients, and the patients. And we're going to do it in a way that is extremely technology based, utilizing a lot of the technology that's out there already, and new technologies out there too, that I think can drastically improve our efficiency of veterinarians. When we talk about the actual shortage, do we have a shortage or do we have an efficiency problem? And I'm not talking about, hey, you need to run in and see 50 patients today. It's you're gonna we're gonna find ways to be able to lessen the burden of the monotony of the day. The records that people are taking home and typing out at home. The inability to delegate certain tasks to your team. There's a lot of of wasted time within our days where we could be helping more animals, but we're not because of our lack of taking on, new technologies and stuff like that can greatly benefit us. So it's a marriage of a lot of ideas into one, but something that me and my business partners are able to go, hey, you know what? We've recognized the problems within veterinary medicine. We've talked about them with TrueVet potential, but in order to make a difference, we actually need to put this into an actionable item where we can bring veterinarians with us and actually empower them and show them the ways to be able to do this.
Yeah. And you had written some about TrueVet, and obviously we had conversations prior to this, knowing you had an interest here and kind of your vision for it. But one of the things that you talked about earlier, and we talked about like the corporatization of veterinary medicine. One line that stood out to me was our broader mission is to reaffirm the veterinarian's role as the primary voice in our industry. And I think that's one thing that is really interesting because it's veterinary led, veterinary owned from that perspective, and trying to ensure at the end of the day the people that are providing the care and the voices that are there are people that have done it, right? It's harder for someone like Isaiah that looks at it as like, hey, this is a great business, we can maximize the profits by doing X, Y, and Z, versus someone that can say, hey, we can do really well, we can pay our team really well, we can have financial success, and we're also going to like provide like this amazing medicine because we actually have done it. And there's a massive difference there, and that's awesome. If you can improve the health of an animal, you do it, right? Of course. That's what makes veterinarians special. You're mission driven. My friends at LifeLearn are the exact same way. For over 25 years, they've been partnering with you and your peers, providing affordable, customizable, online software solutions. These solutions save time, increase efficiency, and assist in managing all aspects of operations. Why? They want to help you improve your partnership with pet owners to improve pet health. LifeLearn has award-winning digital media solutions and are leading the pack as they've prioritized having extensive veterinary knowledge throughout their teams. That difference is seen, it's heard, and it's read by thousands of people across the country. Relax, grow, and thrive with LifeLearn. Click the link in the show notes for an exclusive offer to see how LifeLearn can allow you to get back to what you do best.
Yeah, and I do want to say that there are amazing leaders in the veterinary industry that are not veterinarians. I think if I were to come out and say that only veterinarians can be leaders in this industry, that is definitely not the case. Now, I think when we talk about corporations and we look at a lot of corporations, what other than the chief medical officers, chief veterinary officers, why are we not seeing more veterinarians at the executive table? And I think that's one thing that really empowered me to be able to take this next step and create something like that. Now, if even talking about the corporate landscape that's already out there, I think you could really create something special by taking veterinarians who are leaders and realistically have probably done every single job from working the kennels, cleaning up feces, to actually doing major surgery in the surgery suite. There's something that's to be said to really know what every position in a veterinary hospital does, can do, should be doing. And most of us who are in this position have climbed that ladder to the point where we are right now. And I think to say, hey, you as veterinarians, you need to stay in the exam room and not be the leaders of your own industry, I think I think it's foolish. I think you can create something very special by taking, if there was a team effort in the non-veterinarian leaders and business leaders and the veterinarians and the business-minded veterinary minds coming together, you can create something very special with that. And I have not been able to say, hey, you know what, somebody's doing that right, and I think that's the void that I'm trying to fill. But yeah, when it comes down to it, we veterinarians know the ins and outs of this profession. We've been there, we've done that. We bring a lot of value to the table in our ideas, not just our treating ability. And I think that that's what I want to be able to see, be at the forefront of this next this next step of my career, and hopefully several others as well.
Yeah, in the intro, I talked about, kind of one of the things that, you are absolutely is an entrepreneur, and that's like the entrepreneurial journey, right? Like looking out and saying, who's doing this really well? If you can't find anyone that's doing it where you can be like, I'll just go join their team, right? They're doing it great. Like, no need to reinvent the wheel. You're like, that is the entrepreneur's journey. It's like, I can go do this better, and this is how. And I see the areas where we can improve it. Not that everyone else is now suddenly, out of business, but it's just like we can make it better. And I think just like any industry, especially in veterinary medicine, right? Like if you get a group of talented people in a room that are all mission driven, right? And I've said this because you were asking me earlier, like, hey, how's the new gig? How's this stuff going on? It's like I've seen that, like actually with my new role with Swan, and I've said that on this podcast a couple times. It's like you get people that care about an issue that are really driven by like this is the mission of what we're trying to succeed. It changes things, and it's a very different thing than just being like, oh, it's some tech company and we're trying to make a lot of money. Very different. Same way, like a veterinary hospital, it's like, this is how we're going to do it. This is why we have this core foundation. We're going to make sure leadership's a part of it across the board. We're going to do these different things. That's going to resonate. And you know what? All of a sudden, you don't have a recruiting problem. All of a sudden, the staffing is a little easier, right? Like there's all these things that suddenly fall into place. And it's not, rainbows and butterflies where everyone's just like, oh, it's so great because everyone gets along and we're one big family that's always happy. It's like, no, but it's going to be a lot easier. And like, that's a big lift. And I think the idea of the soft stuff that's like, the culture stuff is wildly, wildly underrated in veterinary medicine, but everywhere. Wildly underrated.
I agree, and I mean, yeah, you're spot on. I'm not looking to put yeah, I'm trying to fill a void, but
Yeah.
once you start talking about things that I've talked about with other like-minded veterinarians, you realize the heart of it. A lot of us are trying to fulfill the same thing. I always thought I was a little bit of an outsider as a veterinarian because the business side is it's just I love it. I love it. I love the leadership side of it. And even when, I will say, even when I talk to friends and family and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, they're almost like confused as to why I am, because what do we picture every veterinarian as? In an exam room, in a surgery suite, stethoscope around the neck, holding puppies, kittens, all of the above, right? And when I I realize that there's what you determine the success of your career looks different to everybody. And yeah, I do love being a veterinarian. I do love getting in the surgery suite, you know, doing orthopedic surgeries, doing some really cool stuff. And I can always do that. I can do that tomorrow if I wanted to, but there's just an itch that I am able to scratch now that I is just igniting a new fire inside of me. And I've in talking to people like Cody and several others that I connect with now on a regular basis. It's refreshing to hear that there are others who have that same drive and that same passion to do other things within the industry as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be able to do that full time and on my own terms. And I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the answers that's gonna solve veterinary medicine for everybody. And but I have business partners that I brought on, and I said, hey, you know what, you guys, I don't want you here to sit here and agree with me. I think if we're actually going to fulfill the mission that we want, we have to come at this from multiple different angles. And I don't want you to feel afraid to be like, what, I don't think that idea is very good. I think we should, maybe what have you thought about this, or should we try something like this? I think that's just invaluable. I think even when we're talking about leadership, to realize that you're not the sole voice and don't have all the answers, up in your own head. I think that's extremely important for us all to realize, no matter what profession you're coming in. The heart and soul of any good ideas really comes down to the team that put it together, not necessarily the individual person that put it together. And I don't think we necessarily recognize that every single time.
Yeah, I would agree. What So what does it look like, as much as you want to share? And also, you ruined such a great clickbaity title with, Dr. True has all the answers to fix veterinary medicine. I bet I get more downloads if I put that out there, right? It's like, I would get lots of people that would click it back. I didn't hear any answers in this. What the heck? But in all seriousness, like what is kind of the next steps for you? Like, I know you're kind of building things out, and maybe there's certain things you don't want to share, and that's totally fine. But what
No,
does it look
I
like?
think
Is it
yeah,
veterinarians that want to partner? Is it, how does it actually, like, nuts and bolts, like, actually, work from here for you as you
yeah.
map it out?
So right now, I mean, now that realistically, we have, I've been a partner at 3 different practices. Those I have since sold now, and I'm back down to zero, which is refreshing because now I get to start from the ground up. And what am I looking for now? I mean, we are absolutely looking for veterinarian partners to, who this has struck a chord with, and have maybe been teetering that edge of ownership, but there's the debt, there's I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. Those people who have kind of teetered on that edge, who want to be able to take that next step and get in early, and be able to help direct this company moving forward. And um, you know, even though I'm based in the Chicago suburbs, I'm not. This is not a I think COVID pandemic has proven that the world can be much smaller than what it actually is, and I'm not looking to just put hospitals that are within close proximity to me. I'm looking for individuals who share a passion for not only veterinary medicine but uh, building teams, business ownership, being able to propel our profession into the future through innovation. Those are the people that I'm looking for to partner with, and finding the right people that we work well together with and can share this similar mission. Those are the people that I want on my team, and I don't want to say my team. I want to say on our team, and be able to propel this forward. And I don't necessarily care where in the country you are. I'm always open to taking a phone call and seeing if a partnership with us is something that is of interest. I'm not looking for quantity of people to do this. I'm looking for quality, and we'll make this grow as fast as we're able to, based off of the the right people that come into our group. So yeah, I reach out to me directly. Reach out to us. The website TrueVet Potential is up and running, and we'll continue to expand on that by providing new content and videos and all of that. But the actual site for TrueVet is in development right now. But it's we're up and running, and looking for those first few sites to launch. And in 2024 is the goal, to get the first couple going, and we'll grow from there. But we want to make sure the model is right, and I don't want to say perfected, because I don't think you can ever perfect anything, but it's right for being able to replicate, to ensure the success of more and more veterinarians.
Do you think it's a de novo? Is it an acquisition? Is it just depends? Like, I don't know if I can ask that or not, if you want to answer
Yeah,
that,
no,
but
I think
I'll
so.
throw
I
it out
think
there.
it's honestly, I think it's both. I think there's a specific subset of practices that really interest me when it comes to acquisition. And we see a lot of older veterinarians who either are ready to retire but don't necessarily have that successor in place. Um, I think and we're going to see those practices either sell for very little money to somebody who's going to run them, which is great for that person who buys them, but for that veterinarian who wants to retire and has relied on that value for their retirement, I don't want to see that. So de novo is definitely a way where we can take all of this new stuff that we're putting in and start it very easily. But I don't want to sit here and say that an acquisition is off the table, because when I talk about bettering veterinary medicine, that comes in trying to prevent those hospitals that are, have a veterinarian who's retiring soon, and, either they're going to close or whatever. That's not only bad for that veterinarian, that's an opportunity for leadership that's now lost. And not to mention, I mean, at the root of it, the biggest problem is that community is now without a veterinarian, and that's a shortage problem. So, even if you're not, if you are a veterinary practice owner who finds yourself in a situation like that, we can definitely help with that, under the right terms, and trying to find somebody to lead. Even if you have an associate who's, hey, maybe interested in it, those are practices that we absolutely would be interested in being able to grow, and help that next generation take that over as well. So, de novo, yes, that's definitely something of interest, but acquisition of the appropriate scenarios is absolutely something I'm interested in pursuing as well.
It's super interesting because I've had some conversations in the podcast. I haven't even recorded it. It's not even scheduled yet. I think there's 3 older veterinarians that have had a hell of a time trying to sell. And obviously, I think have some frustration, have some thoughts, I was like, hey, come on, have a conversation. Let's open up the dialogue. If you have things you want to say, I'm happy to provide a platform. I may push back or ask questions for clarification, but I do think that there is, and part of it is generated from those conversations that I've already had, but there has to be opportunity there. I think the challenge is always, okay, is there someone in this area? Because maybe it's not Chicago where someone wants to be. Maybe it's, less attractive part of Illinois for some. But if you're not from there, it's hard to feel like that could be a great place to maybe live or raise a family or buy this business. And I think that's where it does get tricky. And maybe that is some of the challenges. But, the other thing is, like you mentioned, they might be thinking that this has to be for retirement. They have a number in their mind that just isn't, that's not logical. And I think that's the other part that's tricky. And it's like, it's like telling someone their baby's ugly. And I get that. That's tricky. That's hard. You don't really do it, right? Or if you do, you're just a jerk. So that's part of, I think that struggle is, is their interest. And then is that younger veterinarian that maybe is from that area, can they actually afford to do it? And can they make that happen? And I think that's a really interesting spot for TrueVet to be like, hey, we can come alongside, partner with you, make this work if we can get everything balanced out. Because I think at the end of the day, most of these veterinarians don't want to just close the door and like you said, provide this huge gap in veterinary care for a community that they've been there for a long time. That's the worst case scenario for them.
And I agree with that completely. And I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but we have actually thought about some ways to encourage veterinarians to go into some more underserved or more rural areas to be able to open up practices like that. And so not every practice is going to be as profitable as the other one. Is opening up a profitable practice in a rural area versus an urban area, what you're going to make on that return is definitely different, right? But there's ways that you can join this group, be in a more rural area, but still be able to benefit off of being part of a group that's more than one hospital, that's all working together. I haven't talked to, I know in previous podcasts that we've recorded, I talk about just wealth building in general as a veterinarian, and why we downplay the importance of being able to make a great living doing that. But at the heart of it, I kind of, what I've talked about us at TrueVet kind of being the Robin Hood of veterinary medicine, and being able to create a platform where everybody's going to make really good money doing what they're doing. They're going to be able to practice medicine that they want to practice. They're going to be able to take the next steps in regards to leadership. And you can provide excellent care and make a great living doing it. And every veterinarian out there has put in enough work that you deserve that. And I think, I don't want to create a company where I'm the only one who's successful in the company. That's the more people that we employ, the more people that we help pursue a career that drives them, the more wealth we help create for families, the more, that's really what I want to be able to do. And right now, the people who make the most money in veterinary medicine are not veterinarians, and I want to flip the script on that and return it to what it is, and not just veterinary teams, veterinary technicians, client service representatives. It goes from all above. Most people who work as support staff in veterinary medicine are not making wages that are sustainable and enough to create wealth building opportunities. There's no secret in that.
Yeah.
I think there's ways that we can all do that. That we can help fix that, and it's it's a big task. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we get all the answers, and this is how we're going to do it, and everything is going to go great. It's like that's foolish to think that that's the case. I think, but you come into it with, hey, this is where this is coming from. This is mission. This is coming from the heart. And hey, now we got to figure out the dots to connect, in the mind in order to figure out how that works. And I think that it's 100% doable. And I wouldn't be starting this company if I thought otherwise. So
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that I'll say is, from your perspective, if you wanted to, right? I don't know, like we've never talked about personal finance, but I'm sure if you just worked relief and did a little bit of that, you could probably be fine financially. This is not necessarily about like, hey, I'm trying to amass this massive net worth by starting this huge thing and then flipping it to the next big buyer. There is a mission behind it, which that does separate people starting businesses versus like, oh, there's a really good opportunity to go make a ton of money in this space, and you're like, yeah, I don't really care about this space, but it's hot money. Let's go raise money and make it. Versus like, I want
yeah,
to go make a freaking impact, which is cool.
yeah. And I mean, I think you can make a great living, going out there. I mean, I was making a great living doing what I was doing. I some people think I'm foolish for walking away from what I was doing, but personal fulfillment is extremely important to me. And I want to live. I don't like thinking about 20, 30 years into the future and think of myself older and regretting not doing it. And it's like, what, it's time to pull the band-aid off. Let's do what I've always wanted to do, and be that builder that I strive to be. um you know yeah, I think it's 100% comes down to what you just said. And we'll see where it goes, but
Yeah.
it's it does come from a mission. And I think going back to the finance part of it, this is in a industry that's getting more and more private equity and venture capital funding. I think a lot of that, when we do take on those types of those types of companies, definitely can serve a purpose for a lot of different organizations. But if I would never sit here and say, hey, I will never take outside money. I mean, I think that's foolish to be able to say, that you're not going to do that. But when you go into it from the beginning and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to, take private money or venture capital money right off the bat to do this, I think you give up, you have the potential to give up that central mission. So, as of right now, I'm trying to do this with traditional debt, trying to do it with some funds that I've secured myself through the sale of my own practices, and same for my business partners. And I think that by keeping that ownership close to us, and not necessarily selling that company or having the idea of selling that company off, that's going to allow us to keep that mission central. So I think it's trying to build a group without a ton of money on the table right now. And it's different. It'll be difficult. It'll be an interesting challenge for sure.
Absolutely. Is there anything I haven't asked about that's on your mind or heart? It could be about TrueVet potential, just veterinary medicine in general, that you want to share?
Um, I not much. I think you hit a lot of it on the head. And I just want to say one thing here in regards to, I've been working really hard for the last 10 years with my practices, and then taking on an MBA, and it's it's not a personal it's not a personal thing. This has very much been a family oriented thing. And um, I I have 3 kids, a wife who have been extremely supportive of me during this time of building up practices, and then taking on an MBA program. And I really personally just want to, say how grateful I am to have a supportive wife and kids who, recognize how, hard I work. And um, they, at the heart of it, that's what I do all this for, and in creating a better life for them. And I said, if I haven't said generational wealth yet in this, I think generational wealth is the reason a lot of us do what we do, and in trying to create, not only good lives for ourselves, but more importantly, good lives for our kids and grandkids, and, moving forward. And, um, I, at the heart of it, I'm family centric, and I am just extremely grateful that my family has been so supportive of me during this time, and continue to be supportive of me as we go to this next venture too. So nothing particular other than that, and just wanting to say, thank you to them, I think is the only thing that I need to get off my chest. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's important to remember that. And there's also, again, going back to these different things about being veterinary owned and like the benefits of that. When you don't have support at home and try to do these things, it makes it such a stressful thing versus, seeing the bigger picture and being on the same mission, and having an alignment there is huge. And so I know one of the things that we bonded on when we first met was family stuff. And we had a good conversation early on. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, you don't talk to a lot of guys, a lot of men that say some of the things that you said, and I respected you instantly because of that. And I knew it was authentic. It wasn't, something that was BS. So that's really cool. I appreciate you saying that. And I think it's important for people to reflect on that, because there are certain gifts like that that aren't, financially related at all, right? Like, those are things that are blessings regardless of what happens. So, um, as this will be likely the last episode of 2023, right? I think that's an excellent message for people to think about going into 2024, in a really good spot to kind of put a bow on things, from this conversation. And for people that are interested in talking to you about opportunities and different things, you talked about TrueVet Potential, kind of going there and reaching out. I know you're on LinkedIn. Is that connect on LinkedIn, shoot you a DM? Does that work as well?
Yeah, connect on LinkedIn. My email is on truevetpotential.com. My cell phone number is on there too.
That's bold.
I know it's bold, but it's there. And I wouldn't put it out there if I wasn't ready to be able to talk and connect. But hey, it's not hard to get a hold of me. And whether that's through email, LinkedIn, text message, phone, whatever that might be. I'm here to chat, and see how we can better serve the industry, and let's get it. Let's do it.
Perfect. Thank you, Keith. As always, it's a pleasure to chat. Really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Isaiah.
Recruiting team members in your veterinary practice has never been this hard. You can either bury your head in the sand and hope it goes away, or adapt. Enter Guardian Vets. By leveraging best-in-class technology, you can empower your staff and reduce their workload. Help reduce burnout. You also provide a better experience for your clients and patients, which you want to do as you serve them. The solutions Guardian Vets offers includes after-hours triage, virtual CSRs, that know your team and processes, telemedicine, and so much more. Become the employer of choice in your area by offering the best tools to position your team for success. Whether you're starting a de novo, clinic, multi-doctor, or multi-location, Guardian Vets can help you be more efficient and effective. Go to their website, guardianvets.com, click the Get Started button, then let them know that I sent you, right? Let them know the Vet Success Podcast sent you. Get 50% off your first month. Don't let another quarter or year happen before you start making changes, because you know you need to. So talk to the Guardian Vets team today and implement a new solution. Have you ever walked into a space and thought, wow, this place is beautiful? There's a reason for that. Architecture has this innate ability to impact emotions and perceptions. My friends at Apex Design Build bring beautiful and functional spaces for veterinarians nationwide. Apex is a fourth-generation family-run company that is fully integrated from the design, architecture, and construction process. They help you mitigate risk, eliminate surprises, save time, save money, and reduce your efforts. Sounds great. Check out their amazing work and have access to their square footage calculator to help you plan out your expansion or new build. Click the link in the show notes for the exclusive offer and learn more about Apex Design Build. Why do banks seem to always be impersonal, slow to answer questions, or give you the runaround when you need money for your dreams? Enter Panacea Financial. Panacea Financial is a nationwide digital bank built for doctors by doctors. Whether you're a veterinarian in training, practice owner, or aspire to be a practice owner someday, Panacea Financial is a bank designed specifically for you. It was started by two doctors who were frustrated working with banks and so started their own to serve their community. With common sense lending guidelines and fast decisioning, they've helped doctors all across the country start, grow, or acquire their dream practice. Looking to buy into a practice, Panacea helps doctors with practice buy-in loans, and they are funded in a matter of days. If you're ready to join the thousands of doctors nationwide who have decided to get independence from traditional banks, visit panaceafinancial.com today to see how you can get your dream practice started. Panacea Financial is a division of Primis, member FDIC. Finding a job or finding a veterinarian shouldn't be a waste of time. Enter an Offer First. Paul Diaz and team have created something really special with Offer First. Some of my favorite reasons are as follows. Candidates and employers will both have values aligned on the first step, not the last. The sign-up process, quick and simple, no resume required. So if you're looking for a job but you aren't really sure, it's as easy as scrolling on Zillow for a home. And finally, if you have a great match, it's based on your each unique requirements, not random keywords. If you want to learn more, listen to episode 179 with Paul Diaz. We cover all of that. The other exclusive great thing that you're going to get from this ad read and from Paul is I convinced him to give an exclusive discount to listeners of this podcast. So for owners, you're getting a 20% discount on both the placement of any candidate, but also access to the platform. Use VSP if you go to Offer First, or the easiest way is a link in the show notes. So check it out. Associates, those looking for a job, same thing. Use the link in the show notes. Use VSP if you go directly to Offer First. But I will donate and Paul will donate to a veterinary nonprofit of your choosing. So each person that signs up gets a vote. Your votes actually count, which is incredible. And so I'll be reaching out. I will handle that. But there's going to be a donation made for any associate or any job seeker that adds on the platform. We want to make sure that not only does the platform help to make sure that you find a better fit, better culture, better role, but it's also doing good in veterinary medicine. Okay, so link in the show notes is going to take you to Offer First. It's going to automatically apply that, but also use code VSP if you go to Offer First directly. And Offer First is changing the game of veterinary recruiting. I want each and every one of you to benefit from it, so check them out today. All right, so there are a lot of great job postings that I want to get to. And so we're going to start off with Bayside Hospital for Animals. Great work-life balance in beautiful Fort Walton Beach, Florida. No weekends, Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, no on-call or emergencies. It's appointment only here. Currently a 2.5 doctor practice, new owner in 2021, bringing some fresh life into the hospital. The new owner had been there for 6 years prior working, so definitely understands the team, the processes, and the community. Lots of investment in people and new equipment. ProSal is the pay structure. Far too many benefits for me to list. Email BaysideVet251 at Yahoo or call 850-864-1857. Join a thriving, growing small animal practice in Vermont on the Quebec border. Full-time ideal, part-time is considered. The idea is to start with yes with the team, patients and clients, and outdoorsmen or outdoor woman's paradise while being able to practice high-quality medicine. Compensation is write your own structure within production capabilities. Literally, it is the owner wants to find the right person and is happy to negotiate, chat through, and find the right fit. If you want autonomy and a boss that enjoys teaching, reach out to Newport Veterinary Hospital. You can email newportveterinary.hospital@gmail.com. North Central Indiana, looking for an oasis in the chaos. Who isn't, right? Come join the amazing team at Fulton County Veterinary Clinic. They strive to foster a fun, fast-paced work environment while providing quality patient care. They utilize the support staff efficiently so that the doctor is available to practice medicine and do what you're trained to do in less time and paperwork, which is great. Lots of investment in new equipment and technology to support you, full-time or part-time available. Small animal and exotics are both seen there, so no ER. No on-call, no weekends, competitive salary with sign-on bonus offered, and far too many benefits to list. Go to Fulton County Veterinary Clinic. So type that in and you'll find the job posting there. Last but not least, join Watertown Animal Hospital. Personable small animal veterinarian wanted for well-established current 5-doctor mixed animal practice in northern New York, which is an outdoors person's paradise. Again, 2 of those. So if you like the outdoors, you can look at Vermont or New York. They have plenty of support staff with 6 CSRs, 6 licensed technicians, 4 animal caretakers, 2 technical assistants, a hospital assistant, a practice manager, and a bookkeeper. Focuses on mentorship and investment on the people and the technology. That's been a strategic initiative by the leadership team. No on-call, 24-hour ER less than an hour away. Salary based on experience, but no less than $95,000. Can be straight salary, pro-sal considered. Want to discuss that with the right person. Tons of benefits. Again, too much to list. Please reach out to watertownpetcare.com for that option as well. So again, if you find a role or a job or talk to anyone and it helps you in any way, I would love to hear that feedback. So please reach out. Let me know what you're able to do. And I will continue to post these. So if you are an owner, reach out to me, let me know. And we'll go from there. And until I hit a capacity of I can't keep recording these, I want to let people know who are high quality owners around the country looking for great help. So with that, we'll talk soon. Thanks for listening to today's show. The comments made on today's show should not be taken as investment, tax, or legal advice. All comments are for educational purposes only. You should talk to your professional team before implementing anything. If you want or need financial advice, my day job and not podcasting is helping veterinarians grow their net worth. Our team is taking new clients and we are ready to talk to you at any stage of life. Come as you are. I always say, bring the mess, right? Like if things are unorganized, that's okay. There's no prerequisites to become a client. Isaiah Douglas is a partner at Vincier Wealth Management. Isaiah is a registered investment advisor, registered with the SEC. The biggest compliment you can give me in the podcast is to share it with a friend. Reviews help the show get found, and Apple Podcast is the platform that is predominantly used for people listening to the show. If you have 3 minutes, love the show, head over to Apple Podcasts, give us an honest rating and review. It helps more people find the show. Also, the new YouTube channel is up, and I'd love to have you subscribe. Vainly, I want 100 subscribers at least. Lots more, obviously, right? But I get a vanity URL if we get to 100. That would be great. It makes it easier to find the YouTube channel as well. For all of today's links, information, head over to the veterinariansuccesspodcast.com. There you can subscribe to your favorite podcasting platform. It'll be a link to that YouTube channel I just talked about. You won't miss any other episodes, whether you list on Spotify, whether you have some other ancillary podcast platform. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff. It certainly does help. I appreciate it. Finally, if you want more information, insights, want your voice to be heard, want to share ideas for content, say, hey, Isaiah, I want you to have this guest. I want you to talk about this topic. Go over to the Facebook group. So you can search for the Veterinarian Success Podcast on Facebook or head over to veterinariansuccesspodcast.com, scroll to the bottom about your host, click on the Facebook icon, and that'll get you in the group. But thank you so much for listening. It means a lot to me to be able to see the podcast grow and continue to impact people. So with that, until next time, we'll chat soon.